Hello? Can anybody hear me? This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test of the emergency broadcast system. Just kidding. But have you ever wondered what would happen if they said that? Like, no one's prepared me and I have no clue what to do. So, if they could help me out with that, that would be great because I get a little nervous every time they make that announcement. I don't know about you. Maybe it's just me. Hey, my name's Teresa, and I've had a lot on my mind lately, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with a captive audience. I've always, I've always made jokes to my friends that that's what I prefer, like somebody on a walker who can't get away, somebody that's stranded with you at the bus station waiting on the bus to come. I've developed quite the sense of humor because I found it necessary. So um, it's one of the things that helps me. It's one of my coping mechanisms, and I have a lot of those. I've had to learn how to deal with a lot of different situations. I'm in the process of overcoming homelessness, and it's been a rough go the last 6 years. I stay at a shelter now, and I'm proud to say that I'm working for the day center. I never thought that day would arrive, and I don't think they ever did see it coming either. But I'm so grateful for the opportunities that they've given me and the support system that I have. Um, I still struggle a lot, though. I have a lot of PTSD, and I have various disorders that I don't even have the energy to go into right now. And part of my learning process is um, thinking about a lot of different things, what makes people the way that they are, why things happen the way that they do. And I I think about a lot of things that are sad, but my end goal in doing that is not to dwell in pain, but to overcome it and to help others do that as well through my experiences. But sometimes it's hard to be taken seriously as a recovering addict and as somebody who doesn't really have much of a status in the society. And I'm surrounded by a lot of people who haven't healed from their own traumas. So I need an outlet. And I've had this idea for a long time to make some videos. So I hope that I receive some comments and some feedback, and I can maybe form some sort of network um, of further support and people who have been through similar things, or maybe something entirely different that could give me some new insight, or perhaps I can provide insight to them. Uh, I- I'm all about having a community, um, connections, networks uh, of interactions with other human beings that mean something. You know what I mean? I struggle to find meaning in this life. Well, I don't struggle, it's there all around me. But making sense of it is sometimes a different story. It's a little bit more of a struggle. How do I take it and how do I use it in a way that is positive and that creates change? Because I've seen a lot of things that need change. I'm not sure how to do it. And I know that I'm only one person. And I know that, in a lot of people's eyes, I'm nobody. And that's fine with me. I don't have to be somebody important because I know who I am in God's eyes. Um, I'm a very creative person. I have a lot of things I like to do. I'm not always going to get on here and rant and rave, but I do have a lot of opinions and I have a lot of things that I've written down. I write poetry. Um, I write about my reflections on religion, divisions of people, anywhere from sex to race to um, different backgrounds. And it's part of dealing with the most important aspect of my trauma, the PTSD. I have PTSD over things that nobody should even have PTSD over, and perhaps I shouldn't have allowed those things to affect me, but I did. I've been exposed to many different environments from the time that I was a small child, and that's a lot of where some of my writing material comes from, some of my insights. I like to paint. I love abstract painting. It's one of my favorite things to do because, laugh at me if you will, but I become like a child whenever I get excited over my painting because I just randomly sometimes slap paint onto a canvas and I will turn it different angles whenever it dries, and I will outline it with markers, and before you know it, I turn the picture and it changes and it turns into something specific that I never set out to do, like a woman's profile with a forest showing through, or just something really cool that I know God is giving to me, and so I just want to share all of that with other people and see what they think and feel that sense of community that I'm looking for. I feel it more and more every day, but I always want to reach for the stars, and I always want to connect with as many as possible because in my eyes, we've all been put here together. Like, we are all so unique if you think about it. Um, when people point out other people who are different and they're critical or they don't understand, I want to open their eyes to what they're doing, because what they're doing is they're not only suppressing somebody else's uniqueness. If they're afraid of that difference, they're suppressing their own as well, and maybe they don't even know it. And so those of us who have those insights have the ability to make them see things from a different point of view if they're just willing to look. All you have to do is open your eyes. It's as simple as that. Those unique differences, if they're suppressed, cannot affect those around them. And yet, the reason why we are all so individual is because we all have something to teach each other. It's not about anybody knowing anything more. And so I also have a lot of thoughts about ego and how ego plays such an important role in arguments, in dissension, and it's so unnecessary, because if you remove ego from a conversation and you remove pride, and you don't take it personally and you look at it analytically, then you can work anything out. Like, I firmly believe that. Those are just a few of the thoughts that I'm having right now, and I'm working on more specific things. I've had a few different experiences in the last week that have just opened my eyes even more. And so the more I explore time with my own thoughts and do things that inspire me, the more excitement that I experience. And it's a fantastic feeling, in by moving and exposing myself to different things. Yes, sometimes things disappoint me and people really hurt me, but I'm learning to use that pain to understand. And I've been doing that for years, but sometimes the understanding can leave you in a dark place when you take it personally. And that's why, like, there's so many things that I've learned, um, that I've made rules about to myself that I've broken when I experience further trauma. And now I'm learning how to be in environments where something may happen that can triggered that trauma, but I know enough now, after a lot of hands-on learning, um, trying to love people and trying to understand, that I don't allow it to keep affecting me the way that I did before. I'm learning more and more coping mechanisms, and I would just like to share that. And this morning, um, I discovered a new way to exercise. I've always known that I love to dance, but I never do it. I never use it as an outlet because I'm constantly surrounded by people. And to me, it's such an intimate thing. Dance is very private expression for me because I don't like people looking at me. It's almost like making love. I get to allow myself to be a woman and to feel things and remember things that make me who I am and express those things without judgment or without somebody looking at me in a way that I don't want them to look at me. Like, because people sexualize dancing in women, and um, they just, I don't know. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing, but it's not my thing. And all I know is it really inspired me. It's really all about experimenting. I mean, I know the things that used to make me happy, but I realized I never really fully allowed them to make me happy. I never could relax. And then the one freedom I truly found in my life was when I lost everything and I just stayed high when I got into my addiction. I never even started using methamphetamines until I was 35 years old. And it was the first time I ever felt true confidence. It's the first time I ever felt true freedom. And I relied on it for 6 years and didn't even know it. So I walked around and like, yeah, I went through a lot of shit, and yeah, there was a lot of trauma, but I thought I had still complete faith in God. And once that crutch was removed, I realized that, yes, I do have faith in God, but I couldn't feel it anymore because I didn't have that crutch. And so all I felt was the fear, because finally, for the first time, I was being given the chance to earn the true confidence, the true faith. Um, I call it my anointing, because I started looking for questions after everything I went through. And I've gone through a lot, and I'll speak about some of those experiences. Um, Receiving my first felony, and how trauma actually led to that after not getting the mental help that I needed, and I became part of the system, and therefore was forced to comply with the structure of society and reintegrate into it, and do the things that others deem necessary. Not that that's a bad thing. God knew me before I was ever born. He knew that's what it was going to take. He knew that I wouldn't be able to achieve my purpose under Him until that happened. Everything unfolds the way that it's supposed to be, but it sure was a very, very scary place. Whenever I got out of jail and I was in isolation for 3 months, that may not seem like a lot to other people, but for me, it it was one of the worst things I've ever experienced. A nightmare that I could not have even imagined. And I found no comfort, no solace in the Bible, which left me questioning who I really was and the emptiness inside. And for months, I have struggled to believe that I am who I thought I was all along. I just had to realize it without the crutch, because the crutch wasn't a crutch at all. It was death lurking at my door, even though I didn't have one because I lived in a tent for 6 months. Now I have the chance to have my own door and to open others and for doors to be open to me. And it's a big world out there, you know, and sometimes I cry because anytime I was unhappy, I always had the option. I always had the freedom to just take off and start all over again any way that I saw fit. And now I'm on probation and I can't get off early the way that I thought that I was going to be able to because it's a violent crime. And I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. In my right mind, I would have never done what I did. I kicked a police officer in the groin. And, you know, I really would like to kick myself in my own ass because for years I have made jokes about how I had never kicked anyone in the balls and it was on my bucket list. And lo and behold, when I was out of my mind, that is exactly what happened. And it's not funny at all. It's not funny. It's not funny. I mean, it's a funny story to tell, but the consequences are not funny to me at all. And yet they have been very, very good for me, even though I did not. I believed it was my end. I believed it was the end of my life. Like I couldn't do it anymore. I jumped off a bridge. I really did. And that's not funny either. I'm not trying to promote suicide. That's not what I'm doing. But I just feel so good that I don't feel like doing it anymore and that I survived, that the feeling is indescribable because it's been a hard lesson, but God is so beautiful. I have a lot more to share, but I look forward to sharing it with you. Please make some comments and constructive criticism. Feel free to say whatever you need to say. Believe me, there's nothing you could say that I haven't heard. Although if you do, that would be amazing because I'd love to hear. I love to hear things that I've never heard before. Have a great day. Bye.